Chapter 4958. I got it. Lin Xian took a deep breath. He originally wanted to ask for the divine fruit of life, but he didn't expect such a thing to happen. He turned around and wanted to leave. At this moment, the divine tree of life in the sky let out its final wail. Lin Xian's face was pale. He knew that the divine tree of life had completely shattered. The divine tree of life had completely withered, and his life force had been stripped away. The withered branches scattered in all directions as if it was raining. Moreover, two light figures descended from the withered trees and leaves that filled the sky. One of them was a seed. The other was a withered tree trunk with a mysterious talisman on it. Lin Xian used the power of the heaven-swallowing jar again. The 4 spirit veins in the sword world couldn't take it anymore. Kid, what are you doing? They felt that their endless power was disappearing. Lin Xian didn't answer. He instantly created a vortex and swallowed the two things. Then he tore open the void and flew into the distance. In the sky, the 10,000 dragons diagram shook and suddenly released a terrifying extreme Tao aura that charged into the void. The owner of the dragon reflection was confused. What was going on? He looked carefully. However, he found that there was chaos there. There seemed to be nothing there. Lord 10,000 Dragons diagram, what happened? The 3-peak great sage were extremely respectful. The 10,000 Dragons diagram let out a puzzled voice. I seem to have sensed a few other auras. As he spoke, he released the extreme Tao dragon again, and tore open the void to chase after them. After Lin Xian left the spirit realm, he heaved a sigh of relief. However, in the next moment, he felt his hair stand on end. There was the aura of a dragon, and it was the might of the extreme Tao. Was the 10,000 Dragons diagram here? He didn't expect the 10,000 Dragons diagram to discover him. Damn it! Gritting his teeth, he brought the heaven-swallowing jar into the sword world. In the next moment, all of his aura disappeared. Several dragon shadows circled in the sky, and the endless everlasting mountain range shattered. The entire mountain range was torn apart, and all the beasts inside disappeared into thin air. The people of the Pulsatilla race were facing a great enemy. The Pulsatilla race's ancestor, the Pulsatilla Immortal Elder, also spat out large mouthfuls of blood, his face pale. Greetings, Lord Extreme Tao. I am willing to submit to the 10,000 Dragons dynasty. He knelt on the ground. The dragon shadow in the sky didn't pay any attention to it at all. After circling around and finding nothing, it disappeared. After a few streams of dragon chi returned. Only then did the myriad dragons diagram dispel its doubts. He began to envelop the entire spirit domain. When he discovered that no one was still alive, the light disappeared and he returned to Ancestor Long and the rest. Let's go. Forefather Long and the others sneered. Now that spirit realm was destroyed, they had obtained the power of the divine tree of life. The dragon prince's injuries could be healed very quickly. They left. After a long time, some demonic beasts in the mountain range stood up and gazed into the distance. They saw a shattered space in the distant void. Inside, there was a sea of blood and a murderous aura. What was that place? Some people were terrified. Xianwang stood up and took a look. His scalp went numb. Spirit realm was destroyed. The news quickly spread. At the same time, countless experts from all directions came to investigate. These were the clans of the ancients, the great sects, and even the monarch clans. It was the aura of an extreme weapon. It seemed like the 10,000 Dragons diagram had attacked spirit realm. Had the 10,000 Dragons imperial court gone mad? Why would they attack spirit realm? Some of the clans and sects frowned. They had a close relationship with spirit realm, and were even allies. Now that spirit realm was destroyed, they were very nervous. Would the 10,000 Dragons court attack them? The people of the Kuanping clan also came. They frowned. It seemed that the dragon prince's injuries could not be delayed. The 10,000 Dragons court must have gone crazy, so they started this war. Let's go back and report to the Kuanping Z. The dragon prince will recover soon. In an instant, the news spread everywhere. Everyone on the continent knew. Even the other continents were in an uproar. After all, the power of an extreme weapon was too terrifying. Fortunately, it was only targeted at Spirit Realm. Moreover, Spirit Realm had an Emperor-level array that blocked a portion of the power. Otherwise, not only would spirit realm have been destroyed, the Brilliance continent would have been pierced through. Some of the powerful clans of the ancients kept a low profile. They had no choice. They had not seen the power of an extreme weapon for many years. They had thought that after recuperating, they would be able to fight against the monarch clans. But now they realized that they were too naive. After provoking the monarch clans, no one could block the attack of an extreme weapon. In the vast mountains, there was an ancient demon mountain. The void cracked open. A white-robed figure appeared behind him, followed by 30 figures. After these people came out, they cried to the sky. They were Yen Ryu and the 30 experts of spirit realm he had saved. What was going on? A few terrifying greater demons walked over. Their auras were extremely terrifying. And they were very old. They looked at these people and frowned. Yen Ryu said that spirit realm was destroyed. I only brought back 30 people and 100 stalks of spirit herbs. Sigh. The monsters sighed. They were the descendants of the Azure Emperor's followers, and served the Azure Emperor's descendants. At this moment, they also shook their heads. Even Emperor Qingziray back then could not block it. Young master, do they know your identity? Yen Ryu shook his head. I used my extreme aura to cover my face. They don't know who I am. But let's close the sect for now. Let them settle down. This is the last hope of spirit realm. The monsters started to move. On the other side, in the vast void, a dragon boat was flying quickly. It was Black Earth. A beautiful figure was sitting there. It was Xueqi. She was controlling Black Earth while Lin Xian entered Sword World. The power in Sword World had decreased by a lot. The 4 spirit veins were very dissatisfied. However, Lin Xian did not have time to care about these 4 people. He looked around. Now that he had the divine spring of life, where to put it was very important. He had thought of putting it in the 4 Spirit Valley, but he quickly rejected that idea. The 4 Spirit Valley was just a place he created for experiment. It was not a very important place in Sword World. Therefore, it was too wasteful to put it in the divine spring of life. Every world had a core, and there were even some peak-grade spirit veins and dragon veins where they intersected. True Spirit World was like that. Buried Emperor Star was like that. Even this mysterious Sword World was like that. However, Sword World was mysterious and vast. Lin Xian could only walk a limited area. That was why he could not find the core. However, he still came back after circling around. He looked at the withered tree in front of him. Back then, Wine Lord had drunk wine under the tree. Moreover, Sword World was already so desolate and withered. Everything was no longer growing. It was reasonable for this tree to wither, but it did not die. It was shocking. Lin Xian took out the divine spring of life and placed it beside the withered tree. In the future, you can stay here. The divine spring of life seemed to understand. It directly merged with the ground. In the next moment, it began to spread out, forming 6 springs. At the same time, the ground shook. Even the withered tree seemed to flicker for a moment. However, it quickly disappeared. Lin Xian thought that his eyes were playing tricks on him. He took a deep breath. Chapter 49-59. The 4 spirit veins in the distance started to roar when they sensed the power of the divine spring. Kid, what is that? Why do I feel such a strong life force? Kid, that must be a divine spring. Hurry up and put it beside us. All 4 of their eyes turned red. Lin Xian smiled as he looked into the distance. The 4 of you are really obedient. Stay here and perform well. In the future, I will put a spring in your valley. The 4 spirit veins were so excited that they were about to cry. Kid, don't worry. Take care of the spirit herbs in the valley for us. He would guarantee that all of them would grow into divine herbs. They were extremely excited. Lin Xian waved his hand and took out 2 more items. One was a seed and the other was a withered tree. These were the 2 items left behind by the sacred tree of life after it died. Lin Xian thought about it and placed the seed in one of the 6 springs. He would let it grow again. As for the withered tree, there was a mysterious talisman on it. Lin Xian put it away. He was prepared to give it to the North Demon. The bloodline of the North Demon could condense and form a divine tree. Perhaps this withered tree could increase the North Demon's strength. Perhaps it could even merge with the image of the divine tree. When the time came, There might be some divine changes. At this thought, Lin Xian took a deep breath and prepared to return to the Dao sect. After returning, he prepared to return. He already had the sacred life spring in the quintessential world. He could go back and extend Xiaojuyo's life. After Lin Xian came out, he started cultivating with Xueqi again. After returning to the Holy Abyss City, Xueqi left. She also had her own opportunities to search for. Lin Xian did not try to keep her. He believed that they would meet again in the future. With a wave of his hand, Lin Xian returned to the Dao sect. At this moment, the atmosphere in the Dao sect was completely different from before. It could be said that the Dao sect's atmosphere had been extremely heavy. Now there was laughter everywhere. Even the people from the Dragon Palace who had been in seclusion had come out to be arrogant. The Divine Union and the Dragon Palace had clashed again. A few battles had even broken out between the two sides, causing both sides to suffer losses. The people from the Dream Alliance were gnashing their teeth and preparing to counterattack. However, Lin Xian returned. Great! Brat, you're back! The dark red divine dragon and the others were overjoyed. Let's go and get rid of the Dragon Palace together. Lin Xian had said that he would return first. He had something important to tell the people of the Divine Union to hurry back. What's wrong, kid? They asked about the dark red divine dragon. The toad also said that the Dragon Palace had been too arrogant recently. Bai Susu frowned. Where have you been? Do you know that the 10,000 dragons diagram has been revived? Lin Xian gathered the core members of the Divine Union as he looked at them. Of course I know. I even saw it with my own eyes. What? Fu Hongya and the others exclaimed. Senior uncle, you went to Spirit Realm? Are you hurt? I'm not hurt, but... The Spirit Realm was completely destroyed, and it wouldn't take long for the Dragon Prince to recover from his injuries. He could even go one level higher. This was also the reason why the Dragon Palace had chased them out. How hateful! The dark red divine dragon roared. Even this couldn't kill the Dragon Prince? Lin Xian said that if we want to kill him, we have to rely on our own strength. Get ready. I will return to Quintessential World soon. Who will follow me? I want to go back. The dark red divine dragon was shocked. What's going on? Bai Susu was happy. I will go too. He had long heard that Quintessential World was the origin star. The place where all things began. It was as mysterious as the buried Emperor Star. He had never been there before. We will go too. Hong Yi and the others nodded as well. Lin Xian agreed. Then he went to look for the North Demon. I have something for you. Lin Xian waved his hand and took out a piece of dead wood. The Northern Demon's pupils shrank when he saw it. He could feel the powerful aura of this dead wood, as well as anger and despair. Lin Xian said, this was left behind by the Spirit Realm's life god tree. I will give it to you and see if it can increase your strength, or merge with the heavenly tree behind you. I won't thank you. This time, I will go back with you. No, you can sit here and go into seclusion. If anything happens, you are the only one who can contact Black Mountain. However, the Northern Demon still wanted to say something. Lin Xian smiled. Don't worry, I will bring your sister over. All right. The Northern Demon nodded and sat there. The others, such as the dark red divine dragon, Toad, Bai Susu, Lu Yuan and the others, were ready to go. Besides these people, there were also some who had joined in recent years, such as No Flower. There were also people from Peerless City, such as Gao Jianfei, Leng Aojuan, Guan Xiaoxian and even Li Hongxiu. These people were originally from all over the world. It was Fu Hongya and Lu Yuan who used the power of the Divine Union to summon them. In the end, these people were all here. Fu Hongya said that besides eldest senior brother, there was also master. Otherwise, the people of Peerless City could all gather together. Lin Xian took a deep breath. Indeed, the whereabouts of his master, Peerless Sage King, were unknown. Apart from that, there was also Ling Hu Chuexue. However, he believed that the two of them were blessed by the heavens, and would meet sooner or later. Besides these people, there were also 50 Divine Union experts who were ready to follow. After all, this was just a return trip and there wasn't much danger. Everyone wanted to experience it. All right. Lin Xian nodded. They would set off in 10 days. Everyone went to make preparations while he started to cultivate in seclusion. He entered the awakened sword's realm and sat at the mouth of a spring. In an instant, he felt a strong vitality revolving around his body. The speed of his recovery would probably shock everyone. Even the emperor's son would be dumbfounded. After all, the sacred life spring had created the immortal sacred medicine and the sacred life tree. Lin Xian felt that if he fought in the future, he would be able to recover instantly no matter how serious his injuries were. Furthermore, the sacred life spring could greatly improve his immortality art. It would increase his cultivation speed. The current Lin Xian wouldn't die unless he was killed in one move. Of course, he didn't dare be careless. After all, there were still things in this world that could kill him instantly. For example, Emperor-grade array formations and extreme-grade weapons. Even the great sage at his peak could do that. After all, those people had to take him by surprise. Lin Xian wouldn't be able to use the extreme-grade weapon or the great dragon sword soul in time and would die. Of course, given Lin Xian's vigilance and carefulness, such a thing shouldn't happen. 10 days passed quickly, and the group of people gathered together. About 70 people were ready to set off. They immediately used the super transportation array. Now that they were on the Dao, they were a very powerful force and naturally qualified to use it. The array flickered and the light disappeared. The group of people also disappeared. Chapter 4960. In the Vast Mountains. Bai Susu and the rest looked around and asked, "Where are we?" Lin Xian said, "Xiantian Pavilion." Lin Xian came here to repay Xiantian Pavilion for saving his life. Also, he needed to meet the pavilion master of Xiantian Pavilion. He was also Xiang Tian. This person had a close relationship with Xia Jiuyo. Hence, he didn't know if Xiang Tian would return this time. "Let's go." They retracted their auras and descended. After flying for about 5 days, they finally saw a mountain gate in front of them. How was this Xiantian Pavilion? "Stop, who are you?" The Xiantian Pavilion's array was activated. The guards stood in the array and roared. They looked like they were facing a great enemy. Lin Xian and the rest stopped and said, "It's me." "Who are you?" The guards obviously didn't recognize Lin Xian. "Newcomers?" Lin Xian sighed and looked behind him. "You guys have been here for a long time. Go." At this moment, Guan Shaoxian, Gao Jianli, and the rest walked out. "It's us, we're back." The guards looked carefully and then exclaimed, "It's you guys." They didn't expect these people to come back. "Great, come in." They opened the array and let Lin Xian and the rest in. Then they quickly closed it. Guan Shaoxian asked, "Why are you guys so nervous?" "It's good that you guys are back. The situation in Xiantian Pavilion hasn't been good recently. Come, I'll bring you in." The guards brought Lin Xian and the rest into Xiantian Pavilion. The atmosphere in Xiantian Pavilion was very strange. The guards had already informed Jian Wuk and the other elders. They also hurried out and looked at Guan Shaoxian, Fu Hongya, and Lin Xian in shock. "You guys are finally back." Especially when they saw Lin Xian, they heaved a sigh of relief. "Great, little guy." Lin Xian smiled and said, "Greetings, seniors. I wonder what happened." The Golden Body elder sighed and didn't know what to say. In this area, Milky Way Sect, Hail Palace, and Zhan Wangfeng all joined forces to suppress Xiantian Pavilion. We had to seal the mountain gate. We suffered heavy losses during this period. Some of the minds and spirit veins were taken away by the other party. Even the disciples and elders who went out were injured, and many of them were killed. Guan Shaoxian and the others sucked in a breath of cold air when they heard this. Their faces turned ugly. Why did they join forces? Lin Xian's face was even more gloomy. Xiantian Pavilion had done him a favor, and he knew how to repay it. He asked, what was going on with Senior? They are people from Sixth Sect and Misty? The two of them are secretly supporting each other and integrating the other 3 forces to suppress our Profound Heaven Pavilion. If not for Lord Xiang Tian having some strength, the Profound Heaven Pavilion would probably have already been destroyed. Since you are here, this place is already a place. Lin Xian said, Senior Wushuang, I am indebted to all of you. Moreover, whether it is the Misty Peak or the Sixth Dao School, it is all because of me. In order to capture me, they suppressed the Profound Heaven Pavilion. I can't just ignore this matter. Don't worry, I will make them pay a painful price. The Golden Body Elder and the rest shook their heads and sighed. So many of us can't do anything. Can Lin Xian do anything? Although you are a genius, you are still too young. Lin Xian said, Don't worry, I brought a lot of people with me this time. He was facing the remote antiquity families and even the monarch families directly. Therefore, he didn't care about these forces. Elder Zhang, this is bad. At this moment, a warrior flew in with a letter of challenge in his hand. His face was pale. After he arrived, he told the elders that the situation was not good. The Ice and Snow Palace had sent over a letter of challenge. Jian Wushuang took it and glanced at it. Then he threw it on the ground. They are going too far. The Golden Body Elder's face darkened after reading it. Lin Xian took it and glanced at it. He frowned. The letter of challenge said that the 3 spirit veins, 1 dragon vein, and 1 ore vein that originally belonged to Xiantian Pavilion were now occupied by the Northern Ice Palace. They said that they wanted to come back for a fair duel. They even invited all the families and sects in the area to watch the duel. Obviously, they didn't just want more resources. They also wanted to slap Xiantian Pavilion in the face. They wanted to topple Xiantian Pavilion from their position as the overlord of the area. If they lost this duel, Xiantian Pavilion's momentum would drop to a freezing point. They might not be able to make a comeback. At that time, the 3 overlords would swallow Xiantian Pavilion. Fight them. Some of the Xiantian Pavilion's geniuses walked over and gritted their teeth. Jian Wushuang, the Golden Body Elder, and the rest also had ugly expressions. We must gather all our forces. We can't lose this duel. Lin Xian said. Looks like there are still 5 days before the duel. Let's do it. You? Jian Wushuang was stunned. The people from Xiantian Pavilion also looked over. They were all puzzled. Bai Susu said, It's a small matter. Leave it to us. That's right. Nailin Liang and the rest nodded. These people actually dared to attack our boss's benefactor. They are courting death. We will make them pay a painful price. The Golden Body Elder and Jian Wuk were stunned. Where did this group of youngsters get their confidence from? Could it be that they were all top experts? Especially the geniuses from Xiantian Pavilion. They were even more puzzled. They were all top geniuses, but they couldn't handle it at all. Lin Xian said, Seniors, don't you believe in my strength? The Golden Body Elder asked. Kid, tell me, what realm are you at now? Can you fight against a peak Sage King? In their opinion, no matter how talented Lin Xian and the rest were, they should be at this level. However, Lin Xian laughed. The Toad said, Peak Sage King. Old man, let's make a bold guess. We don't even care about the great sage. If he comes, we'll kill him with a slap. Nailin Liang also said, No problem. Not to mention 1 great sage. Even if a few great sage came, we'll make sure they don't return. They were right. With such a strong lineup, they really weren't afraid. The people from Xiantian Pavilion were stunned. Wuk and the other elders also frowned. No matter how they looked at it, it didn't seem real. Lin Xian said, Leave it to us. Seniors are tired. Originally, he wanted to meet Xiang Tian first. But now, it seemed that he had to solve the crisis of Xiantian Pavilion first. 5 days passed quickly. Purple Water Lake. This was a very famous lake in this area. At this moment, there were many people around Purple Water Lake. Because this was the time for the battle between the 4 giants. Everyone in the area already knew that Xiantian Pavilion was finished. After this battle, there would probably be no more Xiantian Pavilion. There would only be 3 overlords in the future. And the other families could also divide it. It was even possible that a new overlord would be born from these families. Chapter 4961. The most famous ones were the 3 forces, Long River Sect, Ice Palace and War King Peak. The 3 forces had joined forces with Misty Peak and 6 Dao Gate behind them. They were not afraid of anything. As long as they could devour the Xiantian Pavilion this time, the strength of all 3 parties would be greatly improved. Thinking of this, they couldn't help but feel excited. The 3 forces were already in position, waiting for the Profound Heaven Pavilion's people to arrive. Why aren't they here yet? Are they afraid? The people of Long River sect frowned. The people of Ice Palace sneered. It's useless to be afraid. If they don't come, then we'll kill them. We'll destroy Xiantian Pavilion then. The three forces were high and mighty, like supreme overlords. On the other side of the lake were the other families and sections. When they heard this, they sucked in a cold breath. It seemed that Xiantian Pavilion was really unlucky. At noon, the spiritual state and war chariots finally flew over. They're here. Everyone looked up at the sky. The three overlords sneered. Are they here to die? The people of Xiantian Pavilion were here. They stood on the war chariots in the sky and looked down at the people below, frowning. The golden body elder said coldly, "Damn it, are they trying to embarrass us? They actually invited all the families and sects in this area. We can't lose this battle." Jian Wuk clenched his fists and gritted his teeth. But did they really have a chance to win? Xiantian Pavilion might be powerful, but the other three forces weren't any weaker than them. Lin Xian looked down and said loudly, "Don't worry, they'll regret it this time." Toad and the others also said that. Is that so? It's not enough. Even if they double, we can still win easily. The people of Xiantian Pavilion were already numb to the words of Toad and the others. In their opinion, it might be Lin Xian and the others who were enlightening them. But no matter what, they were still grateful. Lin Xian came to help at the crucial moment. "You're finally here." The people of Long River stood up, their eyes shining with a terrifying light. They landed. Jian Wuk and the others landed and walked over with large strides. "We are here to accept the challenge. Haha, Brother Xiantian. Today is your last day of existence. From today onwards, there will be no more Brother Xiantian in this world." In the distance, Boss Zhang of Changhe laughed. "Tell me, what do you want?" Jian Wuk walked out and gritted his teeth. A woman from the Ice and Snow Palace sneered. Were they in such a hurry to die? "Alright, it's very simple. Your Profound Heaven Pavilion and our three great sects will take turns to compete, and the winner will be 2 out of 3. As long as you can win, 2 of our 3 great sects will win this battle. We won't do anything to you again." Damn it, they had gone too far. The other party had a compassionate look on his face, but the conditions were too harsh. How could the Xiantian Pavilion withstand the combined might of the 3 great sects? Going too far? An expert from the Battle King Peak also walked over. The Sword Elder was no longer the same as before. "We've already been very courteous to you. If we push you too far, we'll lead our army and kill our way to your Profound Heaven Pavilion. At that time, your Profound Heaven Pavilion will disappear. We have been very merciful in that case." These people were really arrogant. Bai Susu and the others frowned. Guan Shaoxian, Fu Hongya, and the others were also gnashing their teeth. Lin Xian's face darkened. He walked out and said, "Since we're going to fight, then let's play it big." "Who are you?" Many people stared at Lin Xian with their brows tightly knitted together. Lin Xian ignored them and said, "How about this? Our Profound Heaven Pavilion and the 3 great sects will fight 10 times each. If we lose one battle, our Profound Heaven Pavilion will admit defeat." When these words came out, the surrounding people were stunned. The people from the 3 great sects were shocked. Was this kid tired of living? Was he too slow? Jian Wuk and the others were also in an uproar. They all looked at Lin Xian. Lin Xian said, "Don't worry, seniors, we won't lose." Lin Xian's eyes shone with a terrifying light. That was a look of confidence. "All right." Jian Wuk and the others nodded. They had no choice. Whether it was Lin Xian's idea or the other party's rules, their chances of winning were slim. Since that was the case, they might as well fight it out. Long River Sect's great elder sneered. "Jian Wuk, has your Profound Heaven Pavilion fallen to such a state? You actually let a young man be so arrogant. Do you think this is possible? Don't play any tricks. Hurry up and fight." The people of the Ice and Snow Hall also frowned. Jian Wuk said, "Young Master Lin's words are our Profound Heaven Pavilion's intentions. All right, since you want to die, we'll fulfill your wish." The experts from War King Peak snorted. The 3 great sects discussed and felt that Lin Xian was in despair because he knew he was going to die. They would not give him a chance. They quickly selected 10 people from their side. Lin Xian said, 10 battles regardless of life or death. No objections, right? Naturally, no objections. The Long River sect's great elder snorted. They would definitely kill him. Both sides fought on Ziling Lake. The other clans also walked over and discussed spiritedly. They all felt that the Profound Heaven Pavilion was doomed. The people from the Profound Heaven Pavilion also had expressions of despair. Was Lin Xian really here to help them? Why did it feel like he was trying to harm them? Lin Xian looked at Jianwuk. Jianwuk said, "The people I brought with me will fight in the next round. Just watch." After saying that, he turned around and looked at the people from the Divine Union he brought. "I owe the Profound Heaven Pavilion a favor. Now that the three great sects want to destroy the Profound Heaven Pavilion, you don't have to hold back when you fight. Boss, don't worry. We can kill such trash in one move." The people from the Divine Union laughed. They did not have people like Lin Xian and the Dragon Prince in the Dao sect. However, those who could enter the Dao sect were not weak. Furthermore, they could enter the Divine Gate Alliance. It could be said that these people were much stronger than the young geniuses of the three great sections. They were from a completely different world. Bai Susu and the other core members did not even bother to fight. "Come on. I can't wait to send you to hell." The people from Long River stepped forward first. The 10 young geniuses fought on the opposite side of the lake. One of them flashed and directly arrived at the lake. The surrounding spiritual lake bloomed, and an endless radiance turned into 9 huge dragons that roared between heaven and earth. Not good. The expressions of the people watching from afar changed. Long River was originally a water element. Now that they were fighting on Ziling Lake, they had a huge advantage. Chapter 4962. The people from the Ice Palace sneered. They believed that even the mysterious Sky Pavilion couldn't gather 30 geniuses. Previously, they had ambushed and assassinated the mysterious Sky Pavilion. Many of their geniuses had been seriously injured and weren't a match for them. As for the arrogant young man from before, they didn't care about him at all. How strong could a young man be? Could he overturn the heavens? Up ahead, the man from Long River stood by the Purple Spirit Lake and sneered. A disciple from the Divine Union walked over to Lin Xian's side. This person had short hair and carried a battle blade on his back. His expression was cold, and he looked ordinary. However, there was no fear on his face. In a flash, he arrived by the Purple Spirit Lake. Opposite him, the Long River genius sneered. "My name is Zhenyu. Tell me your name." The short-haired man shook his head. "I don't need to know your name. You don't have the right to know mine. Come on, it's a matter of one move." Zhenyu's face darkened. This guy was too arrogant. The surrounding people were also in an uproar. Even the people from the mysterious Sky Pavilion were stunned. Lin Xian wasn't the only one who didn't care. Why did the people he had brought with him have the same expression? Could it be that these people really had some kind of trump card? The people from Long River all laughed. A few geniuses crossed their arms and snorted coldly. How dare this guy look down on Zhenyu? He must be courting death. He had already angered Zhenyu. Once Zhenyu's Lotus Lake Divine Sword was unleashed, that guy wouldn't be able to withstand 3 moves. Zhenyu's face darkened. He pulled out a purple sword and said coldly, "No one has ever dared to be so arrogant in front of me. In that case, I'll let you experience my ultimate technique, the continuous call Divine Sword." As the sword slashed out, the countless lakes in the world surged and turned into a terrifying sword shadow. The expressions of the people watching from afar changed. It was said that this sword had killed 3 geniuses of the same level. It was extremely terrifying. The people from the mysterious Sky Pavilion closed their eyes. They couldn't watch anymore. The short-haired man looked at the sword shadows that covered the sky expressionlessly. When the sword shadows neared him, he pulled out the battle blade on his back. He slashed out with his blade. Boom. Boom. A resplendent radiance turned into the only thing in the world. At this moment, everyone was blinded by the radiance. They could only hear a loud rumbling sound. After a long time, they opened their eyes. The short-haired youth turned around, sheathed his saber and left. Was the battle over? They looked carefully. The sneer on Zhenyu's face turned into terror. His body was split in half, and his blood dyed the Purple Spirit Lake red. He was dead. Countless people cried out in surprise. He had been killed in one strike. The people of Long River abruptly stood up. The geniuses were dumbstruck, and the elders' faces were gloomy. What's going on? They looked at each other. Did you see that saber strike clearly? Which sex absolute art was it? An elder shook his head. He didn't know and didn't pay attention. That blade was too fast, like lightning. Damn, that short-haired youth was actually an expert. This was definitely not the martial arts of the Profound Heaven Pavilion. The people from the Ice Palace and the Battle King Peak were also frowning. They didn't expect that the Profound Sky Pavilion would ask for help. The people from the Xiantian Pavilion were also stunned. Looking at the short-haired man walking back, those young geniuses were shocked. The elders also sucked in a breath of cold air. 1/kill, the other party really did it. They didn't expect that Lin Xian would actually bring back an expert. This was a peerless bladesman. However, Jian Wuk still frowned. Even so, the other party had joined forces and had too many geniuses. Winning one round wasn't a big deal. Toad smiled. Old man, don't worry. This is just the most ordinary person in the Divine Union. If the others went, they wouldn't be worse than him. Jian Wuk and the others from the Xiantian Pavilion were shocked. They looked at the short-haired youth. This was the most ordinary person. What a joke. This short-haired youth would definitely be furious. However, the short-haired youth just smiled. Boss Toad is right. I am indeed very ordinary. The golden body elder, Jian Wuk, and the others couldn't stand properly. They were about to fall. This was called ordinary? Heavens, who exactly were these people? The people from the other three sects were also discussing. Soon, they came to a conclusion. Perhaps the other party just wanted to send a peerless bladesman to intimidate them in the first round. However, the other party definitely didn't have any geniuses left. In the next 9 rounds, Long River would definitely not lose. Don't be careless anymore. Do you hear me? Great Elder Long River said. Don't be careless anymore. The other 9 geniuses also had solemn expressions. Don't worry, Great Elder. We will let them know what despair is. The second genius walked forward. He held a treasure bottle in his hand. It was also a water-type nomological item. Who dares to fight with me? After arriving, the youth from Long River shouted coldly. He had a head of golden hair, and emitted a mysterious aura. Let me do it. Another figure walked out from the Divine Union. This person had a head of blue hair and was very handsome. He held a folding fan in his hand and looked very confident. His appearance attracted the attention of many female cultivators. He was so handsome. However, the male cultivators sneered. So what if he was handsome? He would go to hell sooner or later. I'm the third elder of Changhe, Lung Fei, a disciple under his command. My name is Lung Fei. The green precious bottle blossomed with terrifying radiance, releasing exceptional radiance. Clear River Sky Seal? Countless people exclaimed in admiration. They did not expect Lung Fei's talent to be so high that he was able to learn such an ultimate skill. Long River's elder laughed heartily. A gray-haired old man looked very pleased. This was his disciple. Just wait and see. His disciple was going to shine in this round. Damn it. The people from Mysterious Sky Pavilion tensed up again. It was obvious that Long River was going to kill him. They were all absolute arts, leaving no room for negotiation. Wang. A terrifying blue radiance shattered the void in front of him and completely enveloped the blue-haired man. The sky fell and the earth cracked. Lung Fei laughed heartily. Just as he was about to turn around, a figure appeared behind him. Too weak. Your movements are too slow. You are full of loopholes. How is this possible? Lung Fei's hair stood on end. When had the other party appeared behind him? He was about to turn around when his head was chopped off. Then his body was torn into pieces and turned into a bloody mist. Snow and rain danced in the air. Wherever the blue-haired man passed, everything retreated, forming a spatial zone. He returned without a speck of dust on him. After returning, he said, "Boss, I didn't challenge you. You are too weak. I want to make a move on his elder." Lin Xian smiled. There would be a chance. The blue-haired man returned to his team. The people from Mysterious Sky Pavilion opened their eyes wide. Elder Jian Wuk and the others were dumbfounded. Was it another instant kill? What was going on? The people from Long River went crazy. Chapter 4963. Why? Are you not convinced? Lin Xian said coldly. The great elder of Long River stood up and shouted angrily. He was not from Xiantian Pavilion. You guys are despicable. The dark red divine dragon was furious. We are despicable? The three great sects joined forces to deal with us. Isn't that despicable? Do you really think you can cover the sky with one hand? If you are not convinced, come and fight me. I can kill you with one slap. You. The great elder was so angry that he vomited blood. Jian Wuk walked over and said, the rules were agreed upon by both sides. Are you going back on your words now? He could see that the group of people that Lin Xian had brought back were not ordinary. They were probably all heaven-defying geniuses. Hence they saw hope. Damn it! The great elder shouted. Then he said, the competition will continue. I don't believe that all of them are so powerful. The competition continued. Soon they were in despair. After the second battle, the third, fourth and even the 10th battle were all one-hit kills. Every single person from the Divine Union could kill the people from Long River easily. The 10 battles ended. Long River was completely defeated. The purple spiritual lake had turned into a sea of blood. The elders of Long River looked ferocious. Their hearts were bleeding. They had prepared the 10 great geniuses carefully. They had wanted to make a name for themselves, but now, they were all dead. Damn it, I want you dead. The third elder rushed over in an instant. He stretched out his hand. It was like the palm of a demon god, covering the sky. How dare you? The golden body elder shouted angrily and punched out. His fist and the opponent's palm collided. Thunder rumbled in the sky. The golden body elder and the third elder both took a step back. Their blood was boiling. The dark red divine dragon walked over and shouted coldly, I have given you face. You really dare to come over? He waved his dragon claw like a god descending to the mortal world. The third elder was enveloped by his attack. The third elder shouted angrily, how dare a mere snake fight with me? He wanted to fight back. However, when the attack came, he was frightened. His body was torn apart and his soul was shattered. He was dead. An elder was killed by a palm strike. Many people were stunned. When the golden body elder looked at the dark red divine dragon, he sucked in a breath of cold air. Even with his full strength, he could only fight to a draw with his opponent. But now, his opponent's gentle wave of his claw was enough to destroy the world. These people were too terrifying. It was even more terrifying than they had imagined. The great elder was also roaring crazily. Damn it! Those elders were gnashing their teeth. However, he didn't dare to act rashly because his opponent's origins were too mysterious. Back in the Ice and Snow Palace, those from the Battle King Peak had a drastic change in expression. They knew that this battle could no longer continue. They called back the 10 geniuses one after another. The Xiantian Pavilion was too strange. If they fought again in the future, these people wanted to leave. Lin Xian snorted coldly. With a stomp of his foot, the surrounding area collapsed. Countless arrays flickered, enveloping the entire space. You want to leave now? It was too late. Sai continued. When these people joined forces to heavily injure Xiantian Pavilion and suppress Xiantian Pavilion, did they not think of stopping? Now that you can't win, you want to leave? There was no such thing in the world. A debt of blood must be repaid with blood. Do you dare to stop us? The expert from the Battle King Peak roared and punched the sky. This punch was like a god of war. The array didn't shake at all, and didn't have any effect at all. How could this be? The expert from the Battle King Peak was dumbfounded. What kind of array was this? The people from the Ice and Snow Palace and Long River also attacked, but they were all blocked. Damn it! If you don't let us go, we'll destroy you. The three sects discussed and joined forces to kill the people from the Xiantian Pavilion. Countless people retreated in fear. They had originally come to watch the battle, but the situation was completely out of their expectations. At this moment, they were all hiding far away. Why? You don't want to follow the rules? Since you're courting death, don't blame us. Lin Xian snorted coldly. With a wave of his hand, the people from the Divine Union walked out. They were emitting a terrifying aura. The battle erupted in an instant. The people from the Xiantian pavilion shouted angrily. They were unafraid of death and thought that this would be an intense battle. Who would have thought that they wouldn't even need to do anything? The people from the Divine Union were like wolves in a flock of sheep, sweeping through all directions. On the side of the three sects, people fell one after another. Soon, there weren't many young disciples left. So powerful. The people from the Xiantian pavilion exclaimed. The faces of the people from the three sects also changed. What kind of power was this? They stared fixedly at these people. When they saw Lin Xian, their faces were filled with doubt. They carefully recalled what had happened and gasped. It's you. Isn't it that brat? They recognized Lin Xian. Back then, Lin Xian had exchanged blows with the geniuses of the three sections. However, a long time had passed and he hadn't appeared. Therefore, they couldn't recognize him now. However, after carefully recalling, they understood. Where had the other party found these experts? All of you stop. At this moment, an angry shout was heard. Three figures walked over from afar. When they joined forces, the sky and earth froze. Countless people felt their scalps go numb. The great sage. They hadn't expected the great sage to come. Old ancestor, please avenge us. Old ancestor, kill him and tear him to pieces. Search their souls and collect their cultivation techniques and abilities. When the people from the three sects saw the three great sage, they cried. Their losses were too heavy. The young disciples had all fallen. Only the elders were left. Xiantian Pavilion, you guys are too much. You actually have such cruel methods. The great sage of Changhe strode over. Under his feet, 10,000 rivers surged. Jian Wuxi's face was solemn. He hadn't expected the great sage to come. However, he wasn't afraid. Justice was in everyone's heart. Who was the despicable one? You don't have to pretend here. Let's fight it out. You. The great sage of Changhe sneered. You are extraordinary, and can exchange a few blows with the great sage. However, the great sage's true strength is not something you can imagine. Moreover, the three great sage are here. Do you think that the Xiantian Pavilion doesn't have the great sage? The golden body elder roared. The great sage of Changhe laughed. The three of us joined forces because we have Misty Peak and Six Dao Gate behind us. Do you think they won't attack you? Your great sage has already been blocked by them. Not good. The expressions of Jian Wuxi and the others changed. If what the other party said was true, then they were in too much danger. The battles before were all Saint Kings. But now the great sage appeared. This was completely different. No matter how strong a Saint King was, he couldn't beat the great sage. Even with Lin Xian's help, he still couldn't do it. The people watching from afar shook their heads and sighed. There was nothing they could do. The Xiantian Pavilion still couldn't beat the three leaders. This was for sure. The three of them had made sufficient preparations. It wasn't easy for the Xiantian Pavilion to last until now. Everyone below the great sage was an ant. Those people would definitely die. Bai Susu sneered. Was the great sage very strong? Chapter 49-64. Those from the Xiantian Pavilion were shocked. Could it be that these people wanted to fight against the great sage? This was too heaven-defying. Those from the Divine Union laughed. Bai Susu was like their senior sister. Her father was an elder of the True Path sect. Her strength was unfathomable. She was much stronger than them. Lin Xian looked at her and asked, "Can you do it?" Bai Susu said, "You're underestimating me. You're not the only one who's improving. My strength has also improved over the years. Today I'll show you my new ultimate technique." She walked over, facing the great sage of the Long River without fear. Those from the Changhe Pavilion went crazy. The great sage's face also darkened. Was this little girl courting death? I'll fulfill your wish. He stretched out a finger and gently pointed forward. Boom, 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 boom. Those from the Xiantian Pavilion were shocked. They spat out mouthfuls of blood and were sent flying. Even those from the Divine Union looked solemn. Dozens of figures worked together to form an array to block the attack. However, Bai Susu sneered. You're really short-sighted. Haven't you heard that there's a top-notch genius who can kill the great sage? Lanrua Palm. She extended her jade-like hand and waved it in the air. A mysterious palm print appeared. Her palm seemed to have turned into the hand of the fairy of the 9 heavens, passing through everything. The two of them collided. The Long River Supreme Sage's finger shattered instantly, and his entire arm disappeared without a trace. He screamed and retreated. Countless people were shocked. The great sage couldn't even block a single move from a young man? Who exactly was this young man? The great sage's eyes narrowed. He knew that he had been careless. His opponent was an iron plate. Retreat. He retreated. 4 incarnations appeared beside Susu, cutting off the sky. Each incarnation used Lanrua palm. The great sage couldn't block it at all. His body was torn apart. Not good. The elders from the Changha Pavilion went crazy. They looked at the other 2 great sage. They asked the 2 old ancestors to help. The great sage of ice and snow and the great sage of battle also had cold expressions on their faces. Do it. Although the 2 of them would normally feel disdain for the 2 of them to attack a member of the younger generation, they were unable to do so now. In times of crisis, they had to be decisive. An unimaginable power erupted from the ice mountain and enveloped Susu. On the other side, a battle sword tore through the 9 heavens, capable of killing gods and devils. With the 2 great sage attacking, Susu was in grave danger. Nalan Liang and the others were shocked. Susu was strong, but she was not strong enough to fight against 2 great sage. At this critical moment, Lin Xian made his move. He took a step forward and arrived beside Susu. He looked at the 2 great sage and struck out with his palms. Mark of the Lion. A double-headed golden lion rushed over and swept across the sky. Everyone looked up at the starry sky at this moment. They felt despair. What kind of power was this? The 2 great sage wanted to escape, but it was too late. After being enveloped by the golden lion, their souls were destroyed. Are they dead? Blood rained down from the sky. The elders from the Ice Palace and Changha Pavilion knelt on the ground, trembling in fear. The people on the Xiantian Pavilion's side were also stunned. Those were 2 great sages, and they were killed by Lin Xian with a single palm. If they had not seen it with their own eyes, they would not have believed it even if they were beaten to death. The great sage of Changha Pavilion's broken body healed. He wanted to counterattack, but when he saw this scene, he was scared out of his wits. He said, "Little friend, please stop. Changha Pavilion admits defeat." The people from the 3 sects knelt on the ground, begging for mercy. Too strong. Although they could not feel the terrifying aura of the other party, they had already experienced his methods. Lin Xian stood with his hands behind his back and laughed coldly. Now you know how to beg for mercy? Too late. No, the people from the 3 sects raised their heads, their faces full of despair. The great sage of Changha Pavilion gritted his teeth and roared, "Don't be too arrogant." He waved his hand and took out a flying flame meteor hammer. "Do you believe that I can send you to hell with my life on the line? You?" Lin Xian laughed coldly. His body swayed and he used the 6 path fists. His fists swung out, creating 6 worlds and sending the flying flame meteor hammer flying. The great sage of Changha Pavilion, who had just condensed half of his body, was shattered again. He was trampled to the ground by Lin Xian. Lin Xian's eyes shone with a golden radiance, enveloping the other party's soul. The great sage's soul burned, emitting black smoke. He screamed crazily, "No, immortal, please spare me." He was no different from an ant in the other party's hands. In the midst of his screams and despair, his soul burned and turned into ashes. Lin Xian collected the other party's soul. Then he waved his hand and settled it. The people from the 3 great sects still wanted to escape, but they were all dealt with by the people from the Divine Union. A sea of blood surrounded the 9 heavens. The remaining people all knelt down. "Greetings, young master. In the future, we will respect young master and the Xiantian Pavilion." "Very good." Lin Xian nodded. He did not care about these families and sections. There was nothing to be afraid of. He wanted to continue attacking. He wanted to uproot the 3 great sections. Jian Wuk and the others' minds were blank. They had never expected Lin Xian to be so powerful. The Golden Body Elder frowned. Although they had destroyed them, the other party's foundation was still there. Moreover, they had the 6 Path sect and Misty Peak behind them. They could not be careless. No matter. Lin Xian said, let's go. I will bring you to destroy their sect, and let the 3 great sects become history. Jianwuk and the others sucked in a cold breath. However, he quickly said, before that, save our people first. Their great sage was stopped by the people from the 6 Path sect and Misty Peak. Lin Xian said, this is simple. Ruffian Long Susu, bring people to Long River and lay down a formation. I will go with Elder Wuk to save the other great sage. Jian Wuk was stunned. Just the 2 of us? Lin Xian smiled. That's enough. The 2 of them rose into the air and flew into the distance. The space around Lin Xian shone brightly as the 2 of them sped through space. They disappeared. In the vast mountains, 5 people stood facing each other. The 3 of them had cold expressions. They were the great sage of the Xiantian Pavilion. As for the other 2, one had an ethereal aura. He was the great sage of the Misty Peak. The other person had a terrifying aura that seemed like it could rip apart heaven and earth. He was the great sage of the 6 Path sect. He had a hexagonal mirror in his hand, and he was the one who had single-handedly stopped 2 great sages with the help of the mirror. Damn it! 6 Path sect, Misty Peak, don't you think that you are too much? This is not your territory. Hurry up and leave. One of the black-robed great sage of the Xiantian Pavilion roared. The great sage of the 6 Path sect scoffed coldly. What Xiantian Pavilion? You are just SOSO. You dare to protect that kid and spoil my 6 Path sect's plans? This time, I will destroy your Xiantian Pavilion. The black-robed great sage roared. Damn it. If not for Lord Xiangtian not being able to come out due to some reasons, you wouldn't have the chance to be so arrogant. Legend has it that he is very strong. However, it is just a false reputation. If he dares to come out, I will suppress him with one hand. The great sage of the 6 Path sect was filled with disdain. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.